Hey, this is Russ. I wanted to address a question that was asked of me on a comment from my last video. Okay, so Paul F. has asked a really good question. All right, let me read this to you. He says, do you think that what your extension needed to improve was a dedicated break from your flexion pushing? Okay, let me explain why he feels that way. I have found that periods of variety in exercise, swimming, recumbent bike, sweeping yard, walking to mailbox without cane, laundry with knee squat have resulted in excellent functional improvements. Okay. He goes on and talks about other things too, but he has a really good point here. All right. Now, you know that Tony Maritato from Total Knee Solutions did an interview with me, and I did an interview with him. I'll put a link in the description below with his interview. And he had mentioned in the past too on his channel that taking a little bit of a break actually could be a good thing. And I've been saying this for a while too, because I took a break as well in between my physical therapy. Now, I mentioned before that, at the end of 2019, and it was getting into 2020, because it was a new year, my insurance company went to a different company to do the authorizations. And it took them a week to do that. So I was away from physical therapy for at least 1 week. Now, I had been pushed literally daily at physical therapy, screaming all the time for, 3 months before I took the break. And that break that I took actually gave me the ability to get more flexion. And it was actually better that I took a little bit of a breather, okay? So his question actually is a valid question. He's asking, and he understands that I'm on a break from using my jazz unit for my flexion right now. Okay. Now, I also took a break, literally stopped using the jazz knee for the extension because we all kind of felt that I wasn't going that much further, and it was probably at the end of the range of motion I was going to get using the device, because I had been using the jazz knee for about 6 months before we finally said, okay, I think we're done with the extension. So at that time, I reported a 10-degree extension dropping down to what I thought was 8 degrees. But of course, as you heard from my last video, that just came out on last Saturday here, I'm reporting 5 degrees now because we actually took a real measurement several times, and every measurement came up to 5 degrees, okay? So the jazz actually made a difference. So the question is, why was I not able to see that improvement until now? Okay, was it because I stopped using the jazz, or was it because I stopped doing flexion with my flexion unit as well? Because I'm taking a break from that too. Okay, because I was starting to feel some slight. I don't even want to call it a pain, but it's kind of like I don't know. Is it a tingling feel? It's not tingling. It's almost like a scratching feel. I don't know. I don't know what's a good word to describe it, but I'm feeling something underneath the bottom part of my patella if I move my leg the wrong way or something, So I took a break from that too. So getting back to all this, was that break the reason why we now see a 5-degree result? Well, I think the 5-degree probably was always there because I couldn't really measure it. And I was guessing at about 8 degree because, trying to do an extension measurement on your own, looking down the side and holding the goniometer and trying to do it yourself, you can't line everything up, okay? So I think it was always there, but I had noticed too, though, I felt like I was walking a little bit better for the last several days, okay? And that would be being away from the extension unit for, I don't know when I gave it back to him, at least a week, maybe even 2 weeks ago, something like that. And then I also stopped deflection. So I wasn't doing anything, okay? Is that the reason why things seem to be improving? I would say probably. Yeah, I would say probably. But I'm going to back this up a little bit by saying if I didn't have the jazz pushing me for that entire 6 months' time, it wouldn't be where it is now. Does that make any sense? I mean, if I didn't do anything at all for the last 6 months, would I be at 5 degrees today? The answer would be absolutely not. It'd probably be even worse than 10 degrees. It could even go backwards on me. So So having the jazz helped bring it there. And I think finally stopping for a short time and just doing my normal everyday walking around the house, doing other things like another subscriber mentioned that, even just laying in bed, you seem to get your extension better if you're laying on your back. Doing that too, okay? So I do that constantly anyways, when I had the jazz unit and even when I didn't have it, and now when I don't have it, when I'm laying flat on my back on the bed, I can definitely feel that the non-surgical leg touches, the bottom of my knee touches the mattress, but the surgical leg doesn't, okay? So what I do is I don't push down. I mean, you could take your hand and push down on it, obviously, or put weights and push down on it. But when I'm just sleeping, I'll make a conscious effort to kind of stretch that leg more, to kind of push down the knee naturally by itself so that it tries to touch the mattress. And I think by constantly doing that, that helps it too, okay? But I'm not getting that hard push that the jazz would typically give me have I been using that constantly. So long story short, to recap all this, did it actually help by taking a break? And I would say, yeah, I think it actually helped. But it wouldn't have done anything if I didn't have the jazz to push it in the first place. Does that make any sense to you guys? All right. That starts it. Okay. That started it. And I think it finished it by taking a little bit of a breather. Because sometimes your knee, I feel, when you're pushed that hard constantly, it tries to fight back. I mean, really, it tries to like you're killing me here. So you gotta, I'm just gonna push back and not let you do it, right? So I think that little bit of a break from time of doing that, the knee relaxes a little bit, and that allowed it to go a little further. Okay. All right, let me finish with one more thing. I went to Costco today with my wife and walked around. I will tell you, even though I'm holding the shopping cart, I typically will lean on the shopping cart with my forearms. We talked about that before. I didn't need to do that today. I could just literally push the cart normally if I wanted to. Now I leaned a little bit, okay, but I pushed it as much as I can normally, and I can tell I was walking much better. So that 10 degrees dropping to 5 degrees is huge, okay? It doesn't sound like a lot. If you told the average guy, the guy got 5 degrees after 6 months, a big deal. That's a big deal, okay? 5 degrees is a big deal because you can feel the difference. You're walking better. I'm walking straighter. I'm standing up straighter, I should say, okay? Because I always seem to be hunched over. And you can see that in some of my walking videos. When you saw a couple of those old ones, you can see that I'm not really walking totally erect up and down. I'm kind of leaning. That doesn't happen as much now. So really, I think a few degrees of improvement on your extension is huge, okay? So much so that I'm beginning to say that, the extension means more sometimes than the flexion. I mean, we work really hard on the flexion. I still do too, okay? I'm going back to the jazz knee once my knee has a little bit of a break. But don't skip the extension. I mean, I didn't have that much work with the physical therapist on extension. Like I said, I think maybe between the two therapists, they must have pushed my knee down maybe 3 times. I mean, you're talking 80 sessions, only 3 times. And when they're pushing, okay, maybe they pushed 4 or 5 minutes worth, okay? They didn't do a whole lot. They kind of left it to me. And I took my own my own extension from, after the MUA, they gave me 0 degrees in the operating room. But, the next day, I was at like 20 degrees for the extension, okay? And Tony had a video recently too saying something to that effect, that, you go to get an MUA, you get your 130 and 0 degree ranges, and then the very next moment, you're getting 90s or 100s, which is what I got, 90 in my first MUA and 100 after my second MUA, okay, in that range. So it's not scar tissue that grew that fast. There's no possible way. What's holding it up, okay? And I think he talked to the fact that it's what's holding it up a little bit is the pain, okay? Because you're not under anesthesia anymore. You can feel all the pain, so you're stopping it because it hurts when they push, right? But my MUA on the second time around, I got 0 degrees again, but I was at 20 degrees when I got out of there. So I had to work on it myself because the physical therapist didn't do that much on the extension, and I got it down to 10. It makes me wonder if I had been working more on extension during physical therapy, could I have gotten it to 0? I don't know. I'll never know at this point, right? So don't neglect your extension. Really, don't. We all want the flexion, but don't neglect the extension, because that's the thing that's going to be able to get you to walk better. Okay? I mean, you need to bend your knee to do things. Yeah, I mean, you got to bend a certain amount to even just get out of a chair, right? So the flexion is important, but the extension is equally important. If you're not getting to 0 degrees, okay, you're not going to walk as well, all right? So from 10 to 5, I'm walking better, but is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but man, it's so much better than 10. 5 degrees is huge, all right? Anyways, that's really all I want to address. I'll talk to you guys next time, and hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already done so, okay? I picked that up from another YouTuber. It's a good phrase, right? If you haven't already done so, hit that button. I'll talk to you guys next time.